Ready? Okay. So make sure to go to the website so you can see these slides on your machines if you'd like. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, welcome back everybody to another wonderful session of CSE 8A, Intro to Programming in Python. Today we're going to be covering something called loops. Loops. Right? Loops, again, it's another really big key thing for computer science in general. And we're going to be using loops a lot. We're going to be using loops in PA2, PA3, probably PA4, probably PA5, and probably PA6 for sure. Yeah, so loops are going to be a very important topic that we're going to be covering. And it's usually a topic that does get, it gets some students a little bit stuck. So if you have any questions about it, please let us know, whether it's here, or in office hours, or in discussion, or in labs, okay? We're here to help you. Oh yeah, so today I had a computing spotlight, Mark Dean. Mark Dean, here in the United States, he contributed to being the co-inventor of the IBM personal computer. Personal computers, I wonder who has one of these now, right? One there, one there, one there. One there, probably one back there. Yeah, so Mark Dean being one of the key contributors or co-inventors of the IBM personal computer. I think Mark Dean was also one of the first African-American IBM fellows that the company ever had. So very important, very key figure in computer science. And hopefully I'll be able to add a lot more of these in the future. All right, welcome. Come on in. So, some announcements. PA1 was due last night. All right, and you have to make sure that you press submit. Okay, you have to submit your assignment. Don't just test it. Make sure that you had clicked submit into your assignment so that we can start to grade it. Also, we extended PA2 to be due on Friday. All right, we extended PA2 to be due on Friday. And we will also be releasing PA3 a day later. Instead of releasing it on Wednesday, tomorrow, we're going to be releasing it on Thursday. All right, so I'll give you an extra day about that. And then lastly, today we will be having lab, and that is down in the CSE basement. We hope to see you all there. Labs they do have required attendance, so make sure to go, all right? You only get one free slip day for labs, so please show up to lab whenever you can. Today at 3. So, some big ideas from last class. Last class we covered something called lists, right? We looked at lists, how to slice up a list, checking to see if something was inside another list in terms of list membership. We did that at the very, very end. And we didn't get to cover modifying or mutating a list, right? So we're going to cover that right now. So the idea of changing a list in and of itself. So we can have a predefined list, right? A predefined list, and then if you want to update something inside that list, changing a number, then we can do that using list mutation. So yesterday, we had this example, right? This example of Latin American countries. We have Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Ecuador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. And then when we checked to see if Mexico was inside of this list, we saw that there was it said false. It was not there. Can anyone remember why when we checked Mexico it was not there? Yes?
The accent mark.
Yes, the accent mark, right? Mexico here is an accent mark. And when we checked it yesterday, we checked it without an accent mark. So let's do it one more time. Let's do it one more time here. Okay? Here we go. So we have our Latin American countries. And we checked to see if Mexico in Latin countries, right? When we read that, we got false. Again, that's because Mexico here has the accent mark. Accent mark. And we want to make sure that for this example, what we want to do is update it, right? We want to change the list and change what's inside of that list. So make sure that Mexico without the accent mark does work. But we want to remove the one without the accent mark. So the way we can do that is literally mutate the list itself. Hi, Xiaohui. Are you there? Yeah. So what we can do is, we have this list, and we have to look at the position of the item that we want to update within the list. So we want to update this one right here, right? Mexico. What number is this one? 6. Why is it not 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why isn't it 7?
Because it counts the first one as 0.
That's exactly right. Indexing starts at 0. Okay? Since we start off at 0, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? I just realized that I have the answer right here. So, sorry about that. but yes, so what we want to do is go to that position of position 6. Right? And we want to update it. So here, instead of checking to see if Mexico is there, let's do the following. We can look at Latin American countries at position 6. When we run that, we get Mexico with the E accented, right? But what we can do now is using that same thing, right? With list indexing, right? We're going to say, I want to look at this list. Latin American countries, Latin countries. Then I want to go into this position using these brackets. I want to go to position number 6. That's what we did over here, right? To print out Mexico. But now what we can do is, I want to go to that position, and I want to make that equal to something else. Okay? So now we can put something here to update the list. So what we can do is Mexico without the accented E. Right? Now we can print Latin American country. Let's print out the whole list. Then let's print out the list at that position. Okay? Let's go like this, so we can see exactly what's going on. Let's run that. So when we start off at the very beginning, we print out the whole list as is. Mexico, here's the accent mark. And then we want to go to that position, position 6. We print it out, it's got that accent mark. Now, we can print it all again after we have updated position 6 without the accented E of Mexico. And we look at Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Ecuador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, without the accented E, because we updated it, right? And then we could just print it out again, double check, make sure that that's updated correctly, and it is updated correctly. Does that make sense? How to mutate a list? You don't have to put things that are similar. So here, I could put Xiaohui. Xiaohui is now a Latin American country. Let's run it. Boom. There he is. Mexico, Xiaohui. Okay? Because we updated that position in the list. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right. Cool. Alrighty. Okay. So let's try to update a list again. I'm going to give you all probably two minutes to look this over. And I'd like for you all to just think, what's going to happen when we print the following? Okay? What happens when we print wait list at the very end of this program? I'll give you all a second to think. If you feel like you have the answer, you can go ahead and raise your hand. Not all at once. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Yes?
I think B.
B. Do you think that we will have, or will this be Maya Lisa, Cuauhtémoc, Inti, Xochitl, and then Maya Lisa again? Why is that?
For line 2, it makes like the first string turn into Maya Elisa.
So this string right here, Ana Maria,
Yeah.
will be updated with whatever was at the position of the length of the wait list minus 1. Remember, length of the wait list minus 1 is for us to get the last thing on the list, right? So we go to the last thing on the list, Maya Elisa, and that gets updated into the 0 position. Okay, great.
And then on line 3, it turns the first Maya Elisa into Maya Elisa again.
Into Maya Elisa again. So what we're doing is here, we're updating now the very last thing, Maya Elisa, and we're going to update it with whatever was at the 0th position. It would have been Ana Maria, but we updated that right here, right before we got to this line. Ana Maria got updated to Maya Elisa. So now we're just updating Maya Elisa with Maya Elisa again. Let's look at that. Let's see what happens. Copy that over here. Run it. Boom. Correct. Does everyone understand why this happened? Because we updated that 0th position. Then we used that whatever was in that 0th position to put in the last position. But it was already Maya Elisa. Make sense? Great. Move on. So, now that we're on the roll with lists, lists can also do some really neat things. They're called list methods. Okay? A method, think of it kind of like a function. Where functions are like this pre-written code that we don't have to worry about. All we got to know is that it will work, right? When we write print or when we write input, we know that when we write input, it's going to print something on the console. It's going to wait for us to say something. We put whatever we want to say, and then it gives it to the user, right? And we can save it out later. We don't know how that works in the back end of Python, but it works. Same thing with list methods, or methods in general. There's also string methods. We'll get into that right now. But a list method basically is some pre-written code that we can use so that we can update our wait list, okay? Or we can like work with our list in different ways. So let's look at this list. We have our wait list again. Ana Maria, Cuauhtémoc, Quintín, Xochitl. And before, what we would do is like this. Before, what we would do is, what we would do before is that we would want to add something to a list. And the way we would do it before is we would say wait list is equal to wait list plus another list, and that other list had like one thing, right? So if we wanted to add Maya Elisa to this list before, the way that we would do it before is like this. Wait list is equal to wait list plus Maya Elisa. Oops. Right? We would do it that way, we'd print it out, and then Maya Elisa would be at the end. We added Maya Elisa to the list. Append basically does all that for you without having to do wait list is equal to wait list plus something else, and then having to put that string into a list, right? What we can do instead is this. Wait list dot append, and then whatever you want to put in there. In this case, we're putting in Maya Elisa. Append will add it to the very end of your list. Okay? So now when we do this, we run it. There it goes. Maya Elisa is here at the end. We then have to say waitlist is equal to waitlist plus Maya Elisa. We don't even have to say waitlist is equal to anything. Waitlist dot append will just update it for you. Does that make sense? Append? Yes? Any questions on append so far? No? All right. We can do something very similar with something called index. Okay? Index will return to us the position of where something is. Okay? So we have this name, Cuauhtémoc, right? And we want to find out where in the wait list is Cuauhtémoc. Okay? We know that it should be 1 because Cuauhtémoc is at position 0, 1, right? So when we use waitlist dot index, and then we put something inside there, in this case it's cuauhtémoc, we run it, and we get 1. 1's right there. Okay? Does this make sense? What index does? Index will go and look for this string somewhere inside the waitlist and give you back that position. Okay? Yeah. Any questions on index at all? Any curiosities? What everybody's mind? What's going to happen there? Let's run it. Oh! Ismail is not on the list. Okay? Ismail is not on the list. I didn't know that that would happen. That's pretty neat. So now, anytime you try to get the index of something that doesn't exist within that list, you're going to get a value error. Alrighty? Does that make sense what index does? Index looks for something inside of a list. Alright? Cool. Let's continue on. Alright, so just so we can have it here, list, methods. So far, we have append, and append will add to the end of a list. And we also have index, and it'll find position inside a list. Okay? So these are pre-written things that we could just use whenever we'd like. Sound good? We also have some other things. Some very useful things. We have something called count. Right? What do you think count will do? Oh gosh, it's right there in the comment. Count will just count up inside of your list anytime it finds out something that you're looking for. So in this case, we have a list of grades, and we want to count out how many times does the grade B come up. How many B's do we have in class? We run that. We have a total of 3 B's. Where are they? Position at 0, 1, 2, 4, and 5. Nowhere else is there B. What's going to get printed when I do this? What will get printed out?
3.
3. Yes. What about this?
2.
2. Awesome. What about this?
0.
Maybe. Let's try it out. 0. Okay? So this method, it's like it's starting off at 0, and it's just going to count up all the time something happens. In this case, D has 0, so we never see D. So, count. This will count up all instances inside a list. Yes?
What happens if you use like an index, but there are multiple occurrences of the same thing in the list?
That's a fantastic question. Let's check. Something beautiful about programming is that what we can always do is we can just check, right? So we have here index, right? And cuauhtémoc was there once. Cuauhtémoc. What if it happens twice, right? So what will index give us back? Let's try it out. 1. Okay? So it looks like index will go through a list, and as soon as it finds it, in this case it's position 1, it'll just give it back to you right away. The first instance of something that comes up in a list, that's what will be brought back to you. Great question. Let's update that here. Find position inside a list. Find, I'll put it here, first position inside of a list. Okay? Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, we also have something else called sum. Okay, what will sum do? I think we talked about this in like lecture 2, I think, lecture 2 or 3, where I tried to do a sum. We try to add things together, right? What will a sum do?
Add.
It'll add everything inside, okay? So let's say we have my list. Let's shout out some numbers.
5.
5. Wow, that is freaky. Whoa, 5 and 5. What else? 2. Great numbers.
13.
13, fantastic number. My favorite, 27. One more number, any number.
42.
42, great numbers. Okay? We can use this function of sum. Okay? What sum will do is it'll get everything inside of a list and then sum it all up together. Add it all up together. Okay? So what should this print out? So 13 plus 27, that's 40 plus 42, that's 82 plus 10, 92, 94. Boom, 94. Fantastic. So sum will just go through a whole list, right? It'll go through a whole list and add it up all together. Okay? So, what if we wanted to get the average value? The average value in scores. So we have all of these scores here. 9, 9, 10, 8, 8, 7. And we want to get the average value. In average, how do we get averages again?
Divide by the length.
You divide by the length. Yeah, so the way that you get an average is you add up everything, and then you divide by however many things you have. Right? So we have 9, 9, 10, 8, 8, 7. So we would have to add up all these things together with the sum. Then we have to see how many things are inside here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things in here. And we can use len, right? Length. We can try to find the length of something. And then, so we can say my sum is equal to the sum of my list, right? Then my length will be equal to the length of my list. How do we get the average?
Sum over length.
My sum over my length. Print my average. We run that. So in this case, we have 94 as our sum. Divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 94 divided by 6 is 15.6666666 repeating. Okay? So that's how we can get an average. Using different functions that we know. In this case, sum and length. We use it to our advantage. So we can do something like that. Any questions? No? Cool. Now we have something called string methods. Just like we have list methods, we also have something called string methods. String methods. And string methods are just like list methods where you had a list, you had a dot, and then you had some sort of name, like append, or index, or count. String, you can do something similar. Where now we have split. Okay? Split is going to do something. Split will get a string, and then it will create a list, right? And the way that it does it is you tell it, I want to split up my string based off another, like a certain character. In this case, we have the quotation mark, a space, and a quotation mark. So we're trying to split up the string on spaces. So anytime we see a space in hi, my name is Ismael, it'll split it up into each individual item. In this case, it's hi, we got a space, we split it up. My, we see a space, we split it up. Name, split it up, split it up. So we can get hi, my name is Ismael, with, and that there, print words, We could also print sentence, so we see what it looks like. So we have our original sentence. Hi, my name is Ismail. And now anytime this split finds that space, it'll split it up into its own item to make a list. That make sense? Great. Any questions on that? No? What if we were to do this? We want to split now. Instead of on a space, now we want to split it on the letter M. How many elements are we going to have? How many things are we going to have inside of our list? When we have M, we want to split on M. Well, let's look it up. We're going to start off here, right? We're looking. We found an M. Okay? This is our first element, HI space. Then, we're going to try again. What's our next element? We're looking. We find another M. Then we split up there. This is our second element, Y space NAM, or sorry, Y space NA. Then we'll go to the next element, E space ISM. We found another M. This is going to be our next element. And then lastly, we get to the end of the string. We run it so we can see when you split, whatever you put inside here is going to look for whatever's there and split it up into a list. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So now we have this here. And what we can do is we can see how many letters there are, or sorry, letters, how many words there are inside of our sentence. Right? So if we run this on splitting on the space, we get all of our words. Hi, my name is Ismail. And then you can find how many words there are inside the sentence using the length. We can see 5. A total of 5 words here. Now, what if I want to add my last name? Villas Molina. What can I use on words to add my last name? Append. It's a great idea. Let's try that out. So, let's put it here. What will I append on? On sentence or words?
Words.
Words. Okay? Words will append, because append is a list method, right? So let's append. What am I going to put in here inside this append? What will I put into the append? What will I put into this append? We will put my last name, Villas Molina. Okay? Let's print out words. See what happens then. So what we did is, we have a sentence, and we split it up on spaces. So now it's, hi, my name is Ismail. Right? That's all looking good. Then, to words, I'm going to append my name, my last name, Villas Molina. Right? Why isn't it split here?
Because you split like before you appended.
That's exactly right. We split before we ever appended something to it. This split will only work in that instance, right? Split will not carry on as we go along unless we call it again. Here, we want to split up. We want to split up that sentence, and now we're just adding to that list. In this case, this list is, hi, my name is Ismail, and we're adding in Villas Molina. If we wanted to have two different things, we could have done it like this. Words that append Molina. Okay? Run that. We got it all together, like that, right? Yes?
Can you like append multiple things on the same line?
Maybe, let's try it out. So let me comment that out. Like this?
Yeah.
Let's try it out. Oof. It takes exactly one argument. So append will only allow you to put one thing there. That's a great question. Okay. So what we have to do is this. Put in only one thing to the end of the list each time. Now, let's say I added my last name to this list of words. Now I want to make this list of words back into a string. So now I wanted to say, hi, my name is Ismael Villegas Molina, all together, in a string. The way we do that is with something called join. Okay? So just like we had split right here, split will separate, I don't know how to spell, separate a string. This will separate a string into a list. Join, anyone guesses what join will do? If this is splitting things away, what will join do?
Just join two strings.
Join two strings will bring together a list using a string. So what does that look like? So just like right here, we said we're going to split every time we see a space. What we can do now is, let me comment it now. What we can do now is, I want to use a space and join together an entire list. In this case, it's words. I want to join together this list of words, and between each one of these items, I want to put in between it, join it with a space. Okay? Because I have this space right here. So when we run it, now we have this string all together with spaces. What happens if we were to do this?
Instead of spaces, you'll have the dash.
Instead of spaces, we will have dashes. Okay? Because join will look at a string, right? And it says, I want to join together something else. I want to join together a list. And I want to use this space, or like whatever this string is, to put things together. Same with this. When we have an empty string, this string still exists, right? I want to put together all these words, but instead of putting a space in between them or a dash in between them, I don't want anything between them. Okay? So when we run that, it's all together. How many Mrs. Mother is one? All is one word. Does that make sense? Awesome. Great. How are we on time? We're doing all right. Okay. So, yes, we have strings, we have splits and joins, and we have slicing. Oh, also, just like we sliced the list, right? Remember when we were slicing and we're looking at positions within a list, right? Let me make it like this. So my name, Mahen, Molina. What we can do is, we can use, just like we did the list positions, we can do string positions as well. So my name, what's my first letter of my name? I. Let's run it. It's I. You can use this position, like this indexing, on a string, not just lists. Why is that? Because strings are basically a list of characters, right? It's as if this is just a list, I, comma, S, comma, M, comma, A, comma, E, comma, L, comma, space, comma, B, comma, I, comma, L, like that, okay? So it's basically a list. So we could treat strings sometimes like lists. 0. What if I want the first 2 letters? What do? We do slicing. 0 and 1. Oh, that only gives us I. Why is that? Because the second number in the slicing is exclusive. Remember that? So instead we should put the letter 2, so this should be IS. Great. That makes sense? We did the same thing with lists before. All right. So, what's going to happen here? How do we print the last name? We have a name, my name. Then we have a variable, names is equal to name that's split at a space. Okay. Then what happens? How do we print my last name? Is it A, B, C, D, or E?
I think D.
D. Why is that?
Because you have to join Villegas and Molina.
Oh, we have to join up Villegas and Molina. That's true. Okay? Most times, people will think it's C. Why is that? Why would people usually think it's C?
They'll assume you only have one last name.
They assume I only have one last name. Okay? So it's very important for us as programmers to not always be assuming things are standardized in one way, right, when we're creating our program. We have to be more inclusive about the things that we write. Okay? Be more mindful of things and like experiences outside of our own experience. Why is that? Meet my advisor. Okay? His name is Adalbert Susai Raj. I work with him all the time. He is an associate professor here at UCSD. And in the UCSD system, when they list out his name, they did list out both his last names as his last name, Susai Raj. What did I UCSD? Adalbert Gerald. They forgot the very end of his name. The reason for that is because whoever created the web registration program assumed no one's going to have a name that long, but someone did, okay? And we're erasing a little bit of part of them. It's not nice, right? So, we have to be very mindful about the things that we create. And we have to make sure that what we're making, we have to be more open-minded about the things that we create, okay? Take that as a lesson for now and forever, not just for computing. Anyways, some new big ideas for today. We're going to be looking over loops, something called a for loop, and we're going to be looking at ranges, and how to use a for loop within range. So, let's get loopy. Anybody here ever dance the Macarena? I see some hands in the back. How do we dance it?
I don't remember. It's right there.
It's right here. Okay? This dance has certain moves to it. You have to go front, front, back, back, elbows, head, waist, sideways, then waist back like this. Then you got to shake it, and then you turn around. Any volunteers? Any volunteers at all? Kevin and Audra, both of you. Let's get up. Okay? Let's get up. Come to the front of the class. We're all going to dance the Macarena together. Alrighty? And we're going to loop. We're gonna get loopy. These are instructions. These are instructions, and as soon as we get to here, when we turn around, we're gonna keep on doing it. We're gonna start from the beginning. Let's do it. Like this. Elbows. Oh, sorry. Hey, Macarena. Ha! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gonna shake it and move. And you do it again, right? So whenever we're doing this, we're doing all of our instructions. We're doing all the instructions, and we keep on doing it over and over and over again. Keep dancing, keep dancing. Just kidding, just kidding. Thank you so much, thank you so much. Give him a hand, everybody, give him a hand. Some fantastic dance moves from our TA team, from our staff. All right? So, just like dance moves, right? When you have a certain set of dance moves, you don't just stop. The music keeps on going, and you're just sitting there like that. You don't stop. You got to keep on going and going and going until something happens. When do you stop? When the song ends. Okay? When the song ends, you stop dancing. Otherwise, you're dancing the Macarena without any song, and that's just going to be a little bit weird. Okay? Not weird. Live your life. If you want to dance the Macarena without any music, that's fine too. Okay? So what we're going to be doing is something called a loop. Right? Loops, just like the Macarena, where you have to keep on doing all the dance moves over and over and over again. We're going to have something called a loop. A loop. Circle. You're going to do over and over and over again until something happens. So, we're going to use something called a for loop. A for loop basically says, I'm going to get a list, and I'm going to go through every single thing within that list. All right? I want to go through every single thing. So, let's assume you're going to make some empanadas. Oh goodness, I am so hungry. I have not eaten yet, and I am starving. So, we have our recipe. Our recipe asks for corn flour, beef, garlic, onion, oil, and green peppers. All right? What we can do is use a for loop to go through each one of these ingredients. So, we use the word for. Remember, Python's very specific, and for is another one of those key words, special words that Python looks for. As soon as it sees the word for, Python says, I'm going to start a for loop right now. Okay? For, but we're going to have something right here in recipe. Okay? So, we're going to fill in the blank right now. But basically, we have this special word for. Then we're going to name something in recipe. In we used before, remember? In we used to see if something was inside of something else. Right? We checked the string to see if that string existed within a list. But now this in, when it's paired up with this for, we're going to be going through each one of these items in the list. And let's say we want to print it out. How do we know what that thing is called as we're going through the list? We're going to give it a name. Here we're going to call it ingredient. Okay? So as we go along in this recipe, okay, we go to corn flour, then we go to beef, then we go to garlic, then we go to onion, then oil, then green peppers. Each one of these things is an ingredient, and we're going to name it as such. Ingredient. In our for loop, we have this little colon again, just like we use with functions, right? And just like we use with conditionals. When we have a colon, remember that you're going to have some space inside. Okay, some space inside so that the system knows this exists inside of a for loop. Okay? So let's just print out ingredients. Okay? We're going to print out an ingredient right now. And what this is going to do is just like the Macarena where we did things over and over and over again, we're going to start off somewhere, right? Ingredient and recipes. First, the first ingredient, what's the first ingredient?
Corn flour.
Corn flour. Okay? We have corn flour. So as soon as we go inside here, the very first time we see this system, this for loop, ingredient will be corn flour. And we're going to print it out. prints out corn flour. Say it out loud. Corn flour.
Corn flour.
Thank you. We have this ingredient here, corn flour. Then what a loop is going to do is going to loop back up to the top and then read stuff again. The second time we read it, what will it say? Instead of corn flour, it will say beef, right? It says it out loud. Beef. It's going to print it out. So when we run this, the system will print out every ingredient inside of the recipe. We're going to print out corn flour and beef and garlic and onion and oil and green pepper. Okay? Does that make sense so far? What if I did this? Ooh, yum. Hey, delicioso. I want some right now. What's going to happen now? We're going to go in. We're going to look at the ingredient. First time we look at the ingredient, it's going to say corn flour. We're going to say it out loud, corn flour. Then what's the next thing that's going to get printed out?
Ooh, yum.
Delicioso. I want some right now. Right? Then it's going to loop all the way back up. And it's going to read the second ingredient, which is beef. Okay? And then it prints out again. Ooh, yum, delicioso. I want some right now. Okay? So everything that's inside of this for loop, in this case we have two print statements, right? And these both are inside the for loop because they're, again, indented in here. Because we have those two things, it's going to loop over and over and over again. And there's a certain variable that's going to get updated. What's the variable that keeps on getting updated? Anytime we go all the way back up. Ingredient, right? When we first go through the loop, ingredient is corn flour. The second time we go through the loop, it's beef. The third time, it's garlic, and so on. Onion, oil, green pepper. Okay? So, we could print out all the ingredients in the list. And we could also, okay, so we just did this, right? We're printing all the ingredients on the list. What we can also do is my favorite ingredient. Did I spell that right? Maybe. I don't know. My favorite ingredient, I'm going to say, my favorite ingredient, honestly, is the second thing inside this recipe. Whatever it is. I don't care what it is, but it's my favorite. So my recipe at position 1, aka the second thing, is my favorite. Right? My favorite ingredient. What is my favorite ingredient in this instance?
Beef.
Beef. What about now?
Garlic.
Garlic. What we can do, a for loop, just like a for loop will go through the entire list, a for loop can also go through an entire string. Because a string, again, is like a list of characters. So we're going to have garlic here, for letter in my favorite ingredient. We could print out the letter. Let me just remove this for now. When we read that, it goes through the entire string of garlic, but it goes through each character one by one. The G, then the A, then the R, then the L, then the I, then the C. Okay? Because, again, a string is like a list of characters. Does that make sense? Awesome. Let's continue on. What's going to happen here? I have my recipe. For ingredient in recipe, I want to print something out. What's going to get printed out? Oh, that actually, so sorry. We didn't go over this. What happens when you put a -1? Oops. Let's look it up right now. So ingredient in this case will be corn flour, then it'll be beef, then it'll be garlic, right? So let's assume we have garlic right now, right here. When you have my favorite ingredient, if you do -1, what happens when you do -1 is that you get the last item in a list. So in this case, my favorite ingredient is garlic. When you do -1, basically when you start doing negatives, instead of counting left to right, you're counting right to left, right? So C is -1, it's the last character, right? I feel like I just gave it away with what will happen here, but that's okay. We didn't cover this -1 before, right? So the position that we had before is always like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Those are the regular positions that we've had before, and these are all positive numbers. But what you could also do is negative numbers. And a negative number will start to read right to left. Okay? So what's going to get printed out here?
C.
C. Why is that?
It takes like the first letter and the last letter of each word.
Of each word, each ingredient, right? So you get C and R, B and F, G and C, O and N, O and L, G and R. Okay? Let's just run that really quick, just to double check. As programmers, we should always double check our work. Yes, that's precisely the case. That's what gets printed. Any questions on that? No? Awesome. Moving right along. There's this concept of a for loop with variable updates. Okay? Variable updates are basically going to be something that's inside the for loop that's going to keep on changing. Not the thing that we're looking through, right? But something else. Let's look at here. Okay, yeah. So let's look at this. We have this function called add list, right? Add list. And what we want to do is we have a list of numbers, right? All the store prices of the ingredients that we have to go buy. We're going to put that in here and to add the list to see how much it's going to cost us to go buy all of these ingredients. We start off with 0, result. This variable called result, right? How much are we going to end up paying? I don't know. We're going to start off with 0. We're going to start off with 0. We haven't bought anything yet. But now we're going to go for num in nums. That means that num is going to keep on getting updated, right? From 5.99 to 10.50 to 0.99 to 0.99 to 2.15 to 0.50. Num will get updated like that. But we have this other variable, result, and now we want result to also be updating. And the way that we do that is that within the for loop, we're going to make result equal to something else. Okay, every single time. And in this case, we have result is equal to result plus none. Okay? Let's look at that over here. Actually, let's look at that over here in Python tutor. Okay? Let me make this a bit bigger. Okay? So Python tutor, again, this helps us visualize what's going on in the code. Python tutor is going to first read the list, the list. It's going to read the function. And then say, there's a function there. Ah, whoops, sweet. There's this function called add list. I don't have to read it yet because I haven't called it yet. Then we have prices store 1. Prices store 1 is a list of floats, right? This list of floats. And now I want to print whatever add list is going to give back to me, whatever it's going to return. So we're going to go into the function add list, and we're going to use the list called prices store 1. Now we have this variable called result. Okay? So while we're in add list, nums is this list of numbers, right, that we had before. And our result is going to be 0. Let's go into the for loop now. The first num for num and nums. The first num, what's the first number? 5.99. That's the first number. Okay? And then we're going to read this line right here. Result is equal to result plus num. What is result currently? 0. Result is currently 0. Right? So when we're going to update result, result is equal to result 0 plus whatever num is. What's num? 599. We read that. And we go loop back up. Okay? When we loop back up here, result has updated. Instead of 0, now it's 5.99. Okay? We go into the for loop, right? It used to be 5.99. What is num now? 10.5. $10.50. And what we're going to do is make result equal to result plus num. What is result currently? $5.99. We're going to add $10.50 to it. And all that's going to get stored into result again. We're going to update the variable. So now result is $16.49. Okay? Then we go to the next number, which is 99 cents. Update that with the result. We go to the next number, it's 99 cents again. We update that. We go to the next number, 215 is $2.15. We add that to our result, 2062. We have one more number of 50 cents. We add that into our result. And we finish with our for loop. Once we're done with our for loop, right, we did all the things we had to do. We looked at all the nums and numbers. Then we continue on. And we're going to return, in this case, our result, which is $21.12. Okay? $21.12. 21.1199999 cents. Okay? Basically $21.12. We can do the same thing with this. So now we have a new list. We went to a discount store, maybe, just different prices for a different store. Now we can add everything inside this list using our function. We run that, and it's $22.97. It's going to add up all these things to get you $22.97. Does that make sense? How this variable here called result, this keeps on getting updated within the for loop. Every time we go through the for loop, right? Every single time we go into this for loop, we run whatever's inside. In this case, we update the variable called result. Does that make sense? Any questions so far? No? All right. Great. Let's move along. What's going to happen here? This mystery function. What does this mystery function do?
I think it returns the product.
It returns the product. Let's look at the function. We start off by bringing in this list called nums, right? And now we have this variable called c. C is equal to 1. We don't know what c is going to do, but c right now is 1. Then we're going to go through each number inside this list of numbers. Every single one of these numbers. And we're going to make c equal to whatever it was before. In the very first case, it's 1. And we're going to multiply it by whatever n is. N, which is nums, right? Some number inside this list called nums. And we keep on doing that over and over and over again, and then we return c. So yes, we do get the product of all the values. Look at that here. What's a better name for that instead of mystery? What can we call this?
Product.
Product is a great name, right? We have a product, and we have a list that we pass in, my list. We can call something called result is equal to 1. For every number in my list, I want to make result equal to the result times whatever that number is. Okay? And we return the result. So we can do product of a list Let's shout out some numbers. 20, great number. 10, great number. Let's be bold. Oof. Let's run that. So now, this system will go through. It'll start off with 1. 1 times 20 is 20. 20 times 10 is 200. 200 times 278 is this. 55600. Okay? Why do we do this? Because these functions, right? Functions are there for us to be able to reuse code as much as we'd like. There are certain built-in ones, right? Just like we see in sum, right? Sum will like add up everything. But there's no such thing as a product function. But we created it ourselves with the power of computer science. Don't you feel powerful now? Right? So now, anytime you want to get the product of a list of numbers, it'll give that to you. Sound good? Great. All right. What if we want to start using conditionals inside of a function? Okay? Conditionals. What are conditionals again? Like an if, like an else if, like an else, right? These things to check to see whether things are true or false. It uses a Boolean, right? If something is true, then we execute some code. If it's not, we don't execute whatever's in that if. Okay? Let's say you're going to make this recipe, right? And the recipe calls for corn flour, beef, garlic, onion, oil, and green peppers. But at home, you have a fridge, you have a pantry, thank goodness. And you already have at home, you have oil, you have salt, you have onions, you have peppers, you have garlic, and you have serrano chilies. Okay? That's what you have at home right now. So what we're going to do is create this list called create grocery list. Okay? And we want to make a new list. And this new list should only bring in, let me see. This new list should return to you every ingredient that you need for your recipe that you do not currently have at home. Okay? You don't have that ingredient, so you have to go out and you have to buy it. You have to buy it at the grocery store. Let's make our own function. So we start off with DEF, right, to create our own function. We're going to call it create grocery list. And we're going to pass in my recipe list. But you're also going to have my home list. We're going to pass in two different things. Okay, we're going to check two different lists. Okay? Because what we want to do is look at every recipe, every ingredient inside the recipe and check to see if it is at home. Because if it's at home, do you need to buy it at the grocery store? Yes or no? No. Okay? That causes food waste. We don't want that. All right? So, what we want to do is give back to the user, it says here, should be corn flour, beef, and green peppers. It should be some sort of list. Right? So, what we can do is, we start off with a list. We can start off with a list. What should this list start off with? Let's call it result for now. Or actually, let's call it my grocery list. My grocery list, what should we start off with this list with? Like, what do we want to start buying there right away? Or do we want to buy anything at all yet? Remember, when we start off these variables that are variable updating inside of a loop, the best practice that you can do is start off with a very neutral thing, right? So if you're going to add up a bunch of numbers, you don't want to start off with 1 or start off with 10 or 27, because if you start off with that, it's like you're adding that number right away. So you want to start off by adding 0. Same thing with product. You want to start off multiplying things by 1. Because if you start off multiplying things by 0, what's going to happen? No matter what your list is, it's always going to be 0. Right? So you want to start off with 1. 1 is a very neutral number to start with. Right? Because 1 times anything is itself. What about for lists? What's a neutral thing for a list?
An empty list.
An empty list. Great idea. Because now, with this empty list, right now we're saying we're not going to buy anything yet. We haven't seen a single ingredient that we need to go buy it. Okay? Great. So now we want to go through every single ingredient in the recipe. Right? Because what we want to check to see is if we have those ingredients at home. Okay? So, let's look at every ingredient. And how are we going to check to see if an ingredient is at home? Using, how are we going to check if an ingredient is at home?
Conditionals.
Conditionals. If. We want to check to see if an ingredient is at home, right? So if the ingredient that you're looking at is in my home list, right? So if you find it at home already, what do we want to do? Do we want to do this? We want to go to my grocery list and append it, and append this ingredient.
If you add like a not to the line above.
Right here.
Yeah.
So what does this do? What this does is, as we're going inside of our for loop, right? Anything inside of our for loop, we have our ingredient. Our first ingredient is corn flour. We check to see if the ingredient that we're looking at, in this case corn flour, if it's not at home, if it's not in my home list, that means I want to add that to my grocery list. I need to go buy that. I need to go buy that at home. Okay? So then, what else do we want to do? I don't think we want to do anything else. We just want to make we're going to get all the ingredients that we do not have at home to make our grocery list. So what we can do is then return my grocery list, right? So we can see all the ingredients that we do not have at home that we still need for our recipe. So things we have to go buy at the store. Let's run that. Corn flour, beef, and green peppers. It should have been corn flour, beef, and green peppers. Great. Whoops. Does that make sense so far? Why this works? Does everyone understand what's going on here? Do we need to look at the Python tutor, or are we good? Anyone confused? No? All right. Great. Let's keep on going. Yes. Okay. So same thing here. We could look at the at-home list. And we could have a new at-home list, right? At home, we're going to update at home. And we're going to print create grocery list with the recipe and at home. Again. Okay. So we're going to print out again, but this time with an updated at-home list. You have a new fridge now. This is your friend's house. Your friend has oil, corn flour, onion, beef, garlic, and serrano chilies. So you have to go buy corn flour, beef, and green peppers to make it at your house. Or if you go to your friend's house, you just have to buy green peppers. Go to your friend's house, use their stuff. Just kidding. That's a little thing called a joke. Jeez. Let's move along. Wow, man. How much time do I have left? 10 minutes-ish? 11 minutes? 10 minutes? So, what's going to happen here? We have this mystery function. What's going to get printed? We have this list of numbers that we're going to put in. 2, 5, -8, 0, -3, and 10. We're going to put that into our mystery function. And if something were to be true, then we go inside the conditional statement. What exactly is this function doing? Yes.
It checks if a number is positive and if it's divisible by 2.
Yes. And if it's divisible by 2, it is even, right? So if it's a positive even number, we're going to add that to our result every time. So if it's a positive even number, is 2 a positive even number? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. We're going to add that to 0. Now we have 2. Is 5 a positive even number?
No.
No. We skip that. We don't go inside this if statement at all. And we don't update results. Is negative 8 a positive even number?
No.
No. Is 0 a positive even number?
Yes.
Yes. In this case, yes. Because it is greater than or equal to 0. So 0 is included. And 0 modulus 2 is still 0. So we add 0 to 2, and we still have 2. Is negative 3 a positive even number?
No.
No. We don't go in here, we don't update results. Is 10 a positive even number? Yes. We add 10 to whatever result was. Result was 2. And now we have D, 12. Does that make sense? Yep. Awesome. Now, we went through list methods. We've gone through string methods. We've gone through for loops, right? Now we're going to go look at something called range. All right, range. Range is another function. And range is something that we're going to be using later on for PA, I think PA3?
Yeah.
Yes, for PA3.
And P2. Oh, wait, not range, just for the.
No? Yeah, just for loops.
P3.
So PA3 will be using ranges. This is going to be very important for PA3, which is going to be released on Thursday. Okay? Range is going to give you a list. Okay? And range could be called one of 3 ways. You could call range with a single number. Actually, let's just do it one by one. So, range, let me remove all that. So my range, we're going to have a variable called my range, and we're going to call this function called range. Okay? Range, you can do it one of 3 ways. One way is to have a single number in here. Okay? Let's do the number 5. Now we're going to print out my range. Range is going to give you back a list. Okay? A list. Range is going to give you back a list. Oh, dang it. Yeah. So range is going to give you back this range. Okay? Range is going to, okay, sorry. All right. So range is going to give you back a list. It's not going to look like a list here in the console, but it's going to say range from 0 to 5. Okay? If we do this, for num in my range, print num. There you go. Range is going to give you a list. And this list is going to be from 0 all the way up to a certain number, in this case 5, but 5 exclusive. We don't make it to 5. So we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. What's our range if I do this? What numbers will be printed out?
0, 1, and 2.
0, 1, and 2. Okay? 0, 1, and 2. Great. Fantastic. This is what range will do. Range will give you a list of numbers from 0 all the way up to a certain number. That's only if you put one number inside range, right? In this case, the number 3. You could also do, just like we had before, with like the slicing, you could do something similar here, right? Where you could get, I want to range from 1 to 10, okay? Range from 1 to 10, you're now giving it a start number, and you're giving it a stop number. I want you to start off with the number 1. In this case, I want you to start off with the number 1. And I want you to go all the way up to this number. Number 10. Okay? So when we run that, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but not 10. Okay? This number will be exclusive. This number is inclusive. Okay? So what numbers will be printed out if I do this?
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Let's run that. There it is. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Great job. Okay? Range. Range could also have 3 numbers. This one's a little bit more funky. We're not going to be using this third version of range too often, but I do want to bring it up in case you're curious about what range does. Range can also do a start, a stop, and a step. What is step? So, this number, step, in this case we're making the step 2, is instead of us going in sequential order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, we're going to say we're going to go from 1, we're going to start at 1, we're going to end at 6 exclusive, but instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I want to go every 2 numbers instead. Every second number. So, what that's going to print out is 1, 3, and 5. Because we start off with this number 1. 1. That's the first one we want to have in our range. 1. Great. But now, what's our step? Our step is 2. So instead of going from 1 to 2, we go 1, 2, 3, right? We go 2 numbers. We get the number 3. We put that out. We print that out. Then from 3, we want to go to the next number. The next number is not 4. The next number will be 5. Because we go from 3 and we step 2 over to 5. Okay? Then we're at 5. 5. What's the next number? 5. After 5, the next number would be 5, 7. However, the stop was at 6 exclusive. So we never reached that number 7, and we stopped the range. 1, 3, 5. Okay? So we were to do this from 1 to 100, but our step is 20 now. Our step is 20. Actually, let's start at 0. Okay? If we were to do this, we start off with the number 0, right? 0. Then, our next number, we're going to step over 20 numbers. So we start off at 0, we go all the way over to 20. Is 20 less than our stop? Yes, it is. So we print it out. The next one will be 40. Next one is 60. Next one is 80. 80. 80. We have to step over 20, right? 80 stepped over by 20 is 100. But 100 is our stop, which is exclusive. So we never reach number 100. Does that make sense what range does? Yeah? Okay. So range is really important. Okay, yeah, so we have here our list of range. Ah, yes. So what I had before, right, when I had my range, so print my range. And when we printed my range, it's going to say range 0, 120. You can make this into a list by casting. Just like we casted like strings to floats or floats to strings, things like that, we can cast this range into a list. So if you want to just look at the list itself, you can make it into a list. So you have 0, 20, 40, 80, 60, and 80. Okay? That's what you can do. All right. And now, what will this, what following ranges would produce this list? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Just 3.
Just 3? Number 3. Let's try it out. So, let's try out that first one. List 0, 5, 1. So my range 0, 5, and 1. We run that. That's not going to work because we start off at 0, right? And we don't want 0. We want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's not going to work. The next range is range of 5. Why won't this work? Why won't this work? We want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
5 is exclusive.
5 is exclusive. That's number 1, right? So we'll never reach the number 5. Also, we start off at 0, right? So we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Still not what we want. 1 and 6. Will this work? We start off at 1, right? So we want the number 1. We're going to end at 6 exclusive, so we never reach number 6. And the step is by default 1. Okay, so we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then lastly, range of 6. Why won't this work?
It includes 0.
It includes 0. And we didn't want 0. We want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Great. All right, we are now 1 minute over. Sorry about that. But we did cover ranges. I highly recommend you all go through these slides to look at these nice other big ideas using for loops with a range, right? So just like we use for loops to go through a list of numbers or a list of strings, we can go through a list of a range, and the range is just going to be a list of numbers, right? A list of numbers that we created. Okay, and so, yeah, I'll leave it there. We'll cover this big idea at the start of the next class, but thank you all so much.